Hi guys, I miss you so much. I wish that we were in person doing this lesson, but obviously we can't. And I hope that you guys stay healthy and we have to stay at home for a purpose. We are helping the entire world by staying at home, but we are still going to learn because learning is super important. We have worked so hard all year and I really hope that we don't lose our learning. So please, please, please make a commitment to our learning because you have worked so hard this year and you have made so much progress. Let's not lose that. So, last week, the week before spring break, we started reading an informational text called Sacagawea. My intention was that we came back to school and we continue Sacagawea, but that just can't happen. So, we are going to start fresh. We are going to be reading a new informational text. So, this text is called From Seed to Pine Tree Following the Life Cycle. And this is very appropriate to what you've been learning in science because you guys just finished learning about seeds. So you have a few different options for reading this text. This is a Myon text. Remember, you can access Myon through Clever. And the title is called From Seed to Pine Tree. So feel free to look up this story if you would like it to be read to you. You can read it on your own in Myon, or you can just click on the link provided in your Etsy account and follow along with me in the same format that I'm using. So, our learning intention for today, for Monday, is we are going to be able to read an informational text in order to interpret the information in text features. Now, if we were here in person, I would ask, what do we mean when we say interpret? And we have discussed this so many times. Interpret means to figure out or to determine. So we are going to use the text features to help us to understand what the author is trying to tell us. So remember, the purpose of a text feature is to provide us extra information. Text features are so important. We never want to ignore a text feature, especially in informational text. So our success criteria today, I can identify at least 3 text features. I can explain the purpose of these features. I can give specific examples of how these features help me to understand the text from seed to pine tree, and I can answer text-dependent questions. So if you see here, we are going to be doing a 3-column chart. You know how I love to do my charts and my graphic organizer, so that's what we're going to be doing today. You are going to be filling this out on your Google Drive, which you have access through in Clever. I will also link a video of how to find all of these things, so make sure you watch that video first and then do this. So you will be adding in your chart and then you will head on over to Edmodo and you will answer a few questions. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to be reading pages 1 through 7 today. So looking at the very first page of this, I see that this is called From Seed to Pine Tree. So we have the title here and then we have a subtitle. So the subtitle says Following the Life Cycle. So I know that we are going to be tracking how a pine tree starts from the seed. So here we have the table of contents, and I think that this is going to be the first thing that we're going to record in our chart. So I'm going to head on over to my Google Doc and I'm going to go ahead and write, we have a table of contents. Now I know the purpose of the table of contents is to help the reader find where information is located. So if I were to do a research project and I wanted to go to a text just to find, let's see, how tall pine trees grow, then I might go to page 10. So I'm inferring right now, this title is called Growing Tall. I can infer that this is about how tall a pine tree grows. And then this is interesting. It says flowers called pine cones. I didn't know that pine cones were also considered a flower, so that's pretty cool. So I'm going to take just one piece of learning here to add to how does it help me to understand from seed to pine tree. And I'm just going to record something interesting that I learned just from the table of contents. We can always learn from text features. So flowers called pine cones. I'm going to write pine cones. Pine cones are considered a flower. Now, I'm just going to, I cannot spell today, pine cones, okay. I'm going to infer from this table of contents that that's what the text is telling me. However, as we continue to read, if that's not true, then I might just add some more learning here. But for right now, this is what I'm going to add. So I want you to take a second and go ahead and look at the table of contents. You can either write what I wrote, that pine cones are also considered flowers, or write something else. So take a moment, look at the table of contents, write something that you have learned already about pine trees just by looking at the table of contents. I'll give you like 20 seconds and then we're going to move on. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the next page. All right, I'm going to move myself somewhere. Okay, so right here I see that we have a subtitle, or we could call this a heading. So the heading is called Beautiful Pines. So I'm going to go ahead and write heading. I'm going to put with a dash, or you can put it in parentheses, the heading. Remember, we learned about dashes and parentheses in writing. I'm going to add extra information. That's what I'm doing here. Beautiful Pines. All right, the purpose of a heading, we know, is to tell us what that paragraph is about. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and read this, and as you read, I want you to think about how does this paragraph relate to the heading, and that's what we're going to add for what did you learn. So it says pine trees are known for their long, thin leaves called needles. Pine trees are evergreens, so their needles stay green year-round. That's so interesting. So that's why evergreens got their name, because their needles stay green year-round. These beautiful trees are found in forests, parks, and maybe even your yard. More than 150 kinds of trees belong to the pine family. They all have the same basic life cycle. Let's look at the life cycle of the short-leaf pine tree. So right now I have to use my reading strategy and my reading brain. So this is called Beautiful Pines. Now, when I think of a dead tree, I don't normally think of it as being beautiful. So I'm going to use what I just read, and it said that their needles stay green year-round. So whenever I picture beautiful, I think of something alive, something not dead. So for how it helps me to understand the story or the text from seed to pine tree, I'm just going to write, pine trees are considered beautiful because they stay green year-round. There's some of my new learning. So what you are now going to do is you are going to do this on your own. So when the video ends, go ahead and continue to read. You are going to read to page 7. Fill out your graphic organizer, and please refer back to the first video of how to save this and send this back to me. When you are done, you are going to go over on to Edmodo. You are going to answer a few quick questions, and then you're going to be done for this part of the reading.